curtain's on fire. Hollywood's on fire. They're chopping up the dorm room. They're chopping up the dorm room. My brother is a moron, which nobody can deny.
Watch out, JusRzd going for the switch. I just wanna find for a minute.
It, you know, that kind of is what it is. But speaking of stuff that we grew up on, what? Did Corey stay with the package, bro? Look. That has to be the sharpest. That has to be the sharpest transition. 90s?
Oh, man.
Why?
Talk about my childhood. I actually have the entire Boy Meets World DVD collection still to this day.
Okay. I only had season 5. Season 5 for me was where it really started.
Really?
To me. Okay, because I watched, obviously we grew up with it from the start, but watching it now as an adult, only kind of some of those episodes were okay. Like, I would say even from season 4 to the end was cool for me, if I'm thinking about the right season. Like, I'm talking about, like, when they got into what they considered the beginning of high school? Because, I don't know, their system was really weird.
Their system was weird because it was like they started in like middle school, and then the school kind of didn't really change. The schools kind of didn't really change that much. It was like it was the same halls, same lockers.
Everything in grade school like was weird. It was like a weird combination because they were in elementary school, but they just kind of, when they graduated and went to junior high, they didn't really say it was junior high. I think it's because in that school system, like grade school,
their junior high and high school was almost like connected. It felt like,
yeah,
because it don't feel like they really switched out of John Adams. It was like as soon as they went to John Adams, they were at John Adams.
Yeah,
but as they get older, we never see any of the little kids anymore. So it's like, if y'all
we did see Minkus. We did see Minkus.
No. I don't mean we saw their classmates as they got older, but I'm saying we never saw any, because you think about it, they're in the same school. They're probably on like a different wing or something like that, so they're not connected to like the little kid side.
That. Oh, they addressed that. They said when they started high school, they opened the doors because they did it twice. When they went to high school, they opened.
Oh yeah, and then senior year when they went to the senior hall,
They came out after middle school around the corner, and we're all like, we're on the high school side. And then when they went to the senior, then they went through the doors. But
you're right, I forgot about that.
So they kind of addressed it, but they didn't really say. And it was also weird because Mr. Feeney really did teach them for the majority of.
He taught them like forever. He taught them forever.
What was his name? What was his name?
Which one? Mr. Turner?
Mr. Turner. Mr. Turner was like the only one that, other than maybe the black dude from Becker.
He was here and there. He was cool, but he was here and there.
He was in a class that they only got taught apparently once or twice a year. Like,
right.
So, like, my question though is, was that toxic? But okay, it was toxic.
Their relationship?
We got a whole. Well, yeah, we got, it was toxic for us because we got a whole generation believing that you could have a Corey and Topanga love like that. And Corey was borderline delusional in some cases.
For sure. But who in the 90s? Who in the 90s wasn't delusional for their girl? I'm just saying.
I mean,
who in the 90s wasn't delusional for their girl? I'm just saying.
Martin wasn't delusional for Gina. He was more realistic than anything.
Till she tried to leave.
That's true. That's true. But for Corey to, like, I think they even address it in the show a couple of times how unhealthy it is, and they have like because I think it was Angela that said something about it being like weird or unhealthy how you're thinking about the situation. and Sean too, and Corey was just all like, nah, see, cause it's me and her forever. And I was all like, nah, call the police.
The funniest part, man, first of all, the Boy Meets World cast is phenomenal and legendary.
Absolutely.
In and of itself. From the mama, from the daddy, to the little sister, to, of course, Will
Freddy.
There we go.
Yeah.
to him, to Corey, Topanga, Sean, Angela.
Dude,
Matthew Lawrence? Yeah, it's Matthew Lawrence.
Yeah, Matt Lawrence. He's the middle child.
Yeah.
I love Will's character, Eric, and
even
Will
Sean
in general.
Daddy.
Who was Sean's dad? Oh, yeah. Chet.
Yeah, Chet.
Yeah. So, like,
it's funny because when I got older, I never realized he was also on Home Improvement, and he owned the hardware store on Home Improvement. That's neither here nor there. Also, Corey's mama showed up. Corey's mama showed up as the wife on Home Improvement's friend early on in the early seasons of Home Improvement, till she got Boy Meets World. Yeah. So, fun fact: I also have Home Improvement on DVD too. So
she was what's his name on the Fence's wife?
No. She wasn't married to anybody. She was just the friend of Tim Taylor's wife.
Oh.
So in like the first couple of seasons, she'll pop up here and there on the episode as her friend.
What's up?
Mm-hmm.
But I was saying I love Will I love Eric, the character Eric. I kind of didn't like what they did to him a little bit in between there. But I love Will, and here's why. Shout out Will, because Will was just a major part of our childhood. It's almost like
for sure.
Almost like Johnny Young Bach or Cree Summer levels of in our childhood, because they were genuinely the voices of a ton of cartoons that, if people don't realize, like, Will Freddy's actually a really good voice actor, and he's been doing that for years. And Dante Bosco. But Dante has nothing to do with Boy Meets World, so that's why I didn't say anything.
That's true, but he's a part of my childhood. Rufy.
But like, as far as like voice acting goes and everything, like, even because we talked about anime and stuff on the show a lot as well, Johnny Young Bosch is just like what, bro? You're such a good voice actor for no reason. And Will Friday, he freaking Terry McGinnis.
Yeah, Ron Stoppable.
Man, shout out Will, bro. And he still makes me happy till this day. He still makes me happy, like, just even with him just being a normal dude and them talking on their podcast or whatever. Every clip that I ever see of them, he's still Will. You know what I mean? He doesn't look or sound jaded. He doesn't sound bitter. And he's just one of the few actors that we grew up with that isn't, like, for all we know, weird or whatever.
Right. Nah.
But what they did, I don't know. I don't remember him saying this, but like, what they did to his character, like, Eric, how do you go from like, I'm the big brother? Oh, okay. I heard it explained. I'll say this. I heard it explained that when they were little kids, he was depicted as the older brother who was cool and knew everything. But as he got older, as Corey got older, and as we got older, they gradually take like the rose-colored glasses off of what he normally acts like, and to him, he's a lot less smart and cool than what he was, and that's how he portrayed him. But I was like,
that actually kind of makes sense.
It makes sense, but to the degree of just making him an idiot, like,
yeah, they ain't really had to go full idiot savant with it. Like,
no,
it was just
he was one of the funniest parts of that show, though.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
When they grew up, like, and he was like,
for sure.
I was like, "Where's Eric at, man? Why do you have this discussion? Where is Eric?"
And the random gems he would randomly drop in the dumbest of ways. was always funny and enlightening at the same time. It was just like,
I love how they took like the corniness of Full House when teaching a lesson, gave it to Eric.
God.
He put it.
Oh,
he put it.
My God.
he put it in such a simplistic way that was like really funny. But then he'll look at him with like a straight face and be all like, "Did you learn? How about that? How about that?"
Yo, that is one of the. I loved Full House growing up as a child. Somewhere around me getting into teenagery, it didn't even hit me when I was an adult. It was teenager. I think I tried to rewatch it or something. I was just like, yo, this is terrible. Like, this is corn on the cob corny. Bro. Like, bro,
it's super corny.
You hear the little music come in.
With the piano.
You know what, it's just like, bro, what is happening? Why is this every episode? And then what also hit me, Family Matters was just the Black Full House. And I was just like, yo, this is the same thing.
It was the Black Full House.
I can't watch these anymore.
if Urkel's not in the thumbnail now, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to We gotta have
They just started doing whatever in Family Matters towards the later seasons.
Well, yeah, no, it borderline became an anime. I don't know what they had time travel. I think it was turning into Bruce Lee all the time.
They can teleport to Paris. It was like, fam, what are y'all doing? What is happening?
Steve Urkel was like secretly good at basketball. Nobody knew. Like,
right.
He was just like killing him.
This man cloned himself and turned his clone into Stefan Urkel. So now they can be two individual people. I'm like, bro, what are we doing?
He did that
at this point,
and I think if I remember correctly, he did that for Laura.
Yes.
So because he could never be with her, so he was all like, "I'm gonna give you the man that you wanted," with allegedly, because he ends up being with her at the end. Spoiler alert.
Right, because she ends up choosing him anyway.
Yeah, I was all like, "You went and made a whole clone, my guy."
Bro, I was like, bro, what is happening? What is happening? They shrunk themselves. They ended up on a pirate ship for some reason. I'm like, what? Huh?
Stefan became a model.
Right. Like,
they went to Disneyland for some reason. Like,
everybody on TGIF went to Disneyland.
Every single line of
everybody.
Or they went to Disney. That was funny. And they ran into each other.
I will say,
when they ran into each other, it was funny.
It's funny because each show did it, and each show had a kiss in front of the castle in Magic Kingdom, which was like, why is everybody here doing this?
Yeah, it's like if you were there. If you were there, you would look over and see Steve and Laura kissing, or you look over and see JT from Step by Step kissing some random chick, or you look over
or you'll see Corey and Topanga kissing. It'd be like
Topanga kissing. You look over and see like, oh, Stephanie found somebody for Full House. That DJ and Steve, like,
right? It's like, bro, why is everybody here at the same time?
What's going on?
But yo, I feel like Boy Meets World was probably my favorite that ended up there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I still watch it to this day.
Family Matters would probably be second. That did the Disneyland trip.
I will watch Boy Meets World at least twice, all the way through a year.
I feel you.
And that's low numbers, because I used to watch nothing but Boy Meets World when Disney Plus came out. That was before I ventured on to anything else, and before all the Marvel shows got like prevalent.
See, I was already
talking about this stuff
because of the collection, but
look.
So when
that was one of the
when
draws.
Other stuff came out that I didn't have, I was watching that. So like Smart Guy, I run that back.
No, that was one of the draws for me. But like you said, Smart Guy was on it. Smart Guy was on there. Boy Meets World was on there. These are the shows that, yes, they were in syndication up until a certain point. But these were shows that, you can just watch it on demand. I don't have to watch this on YouTube.
Right.
Like, shut up and take my money every month, because I will.
Facts. This is my childhood. What are you saying?
This is my childhood. Like, shut up. And then,
yo, speaking of childhood, well, I'm gonna save it till we finish our our Boy Meets World conversation, because you asked the question earlier, was it toxic?
But oh my gosh.
Moments of it.
Was it?
Moments of it was toxic for sure.
Definitely.
But I feel like they kind of worked through the toxicity of it and were able to get married.
I don't feel like they ever did.
I mean, a little bit.
They talked about it, but did they actually look now? Let's have some practical conversation. Of course they didn't, because it's a sitcom, but...
Right, I was going to say, they're not going to do that on the sitcom. It's not a drama. It's not This Is Us.
Look, man.
Have no real conversations.
Bro, they would always make up, fake, oh, this is serious, type situations, but rooted in
the
something
episode
serious.
where Sean found Jesus?
Oh, Lord!
Oh, man. Bro, that's hands down. That was one of my favorite episodes of Boy Meets World. I'm not going to hold you. When Mr. Turner almost died and he was in the hospital?
Where Sean joined the cult?
Oh.
And they were all...
That was so crazy.
And they were all slated to drink the whatever at the party. And she was like, "Come on to the party, Sean. Join us." I was like,
"Bro, that was so." The craziest part about that was for sure white people issues, because that was not happening in our community.
You're not getting me
watching that episode, and I was like, "What? He should know not to go with them, right?"
Right.
Because he was raised not to do that.
Right. I was like, why is he joining a cult? What is up with this?
And then when Chet died, I was just like, man, Sean just going through it.
When Chet died, I cried a little bit.
Yeah, when Chet died, and then when Sean found Jesus a little bit, I almost cried both of those times.
I didn't cry when Sean found God, because I was just all like, look, all right. At least now you're not going to be as much of a troublemaker. At least, you have, a sense of morality, I guess. It saved you from going down, a cliff morally.
True.
So, your character is now more redeemable, I guess, than what he was when he was about to be, stealing stuff and drinking liquor that was for his dad's thing or something. I don't remember what they did, but they were drinking liquor and stuff. I was like, hold on. What's happening to our character?
Our dad was a drunk.
You don't remember that? That was crazy. Matt Lawrence. Yeah. That was probably the most intense that he had to act on that show. Was when the first few years of Jack being around was when he had to address all the family stuff, and he was always super serious. And he was you could tell he was the one guy in the cast full of kids that or young adults that acted like that.
Right.
And he hammed it up. He said, "You don't remember that, Sean? He was a drunk." You think I want to see you go down like that?
And then he pushed Angela, and she was just like,
"Oh no, Lord!" He pushed Angela. I was like, "I'm sorry, buddy. I can't."
Right, I can't close on you, Sean. You was my guy. You was my guy to that moment.
If I was there,
right. You was my guy to that moment.
I would have to steal on you.
You tripping?
Did you just push this beautiful black woman? I'm gonna have to steal on you.
This beautiful black queen. What are you doing,
Miss Queen? I'm gonna have to steal on you. This.
Oh man, bro, it was so many random. You remember the episode where they were where Corey was having that dream about throwing people down the elevator?
Yeah.
I was like, yo, what is happening? I remember watching that as a kid. Yo, what's going on? Just for them to finish the episode, I was like, oh, he was dreaming.
Yeah, that threw me off.
What?
My favorite episode, and yes, just for those who, because I know some people think that we get off topic and we don't talk about stuff. Sometimes we do, but yes, it was toxic to me. It was not toxic to him as much. It was toxic to me because I watched the follow-up to Boy Meets World, which is supposed to be Girl Meets World. Their marriage is not a happy marriage. I'm sorry.
I'll give you that.
They were trying to give the we've been married forever vibes, but it was more like the why are you still with this person?
It was weird the way they did their relationship in Girl Meets World. I will say that it was because it was just like this ain't really Corey and like they made Corey super goofy. He was super goofy and happy-go-lucky, and Topanga was the serious one. It was weird. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Topanga took that arc turn whenever she grew up, but she was never as serious as what she was. And I think they were trying to go off of like, what was she, a lawyer?
Yeah.
She's a lawyer now. She has to have this certain yada yada yada. But she was always so stern. I was like, this isn't the characterization of thing. Maybe that was Danielle's like betrayal of her, but I feel like that was like directed and not necessarily from what they knew their characters to be. Because Corey was way too goofy. I was too
goofy. I was like, he was never acting like this in Boy Meets World.
Unless you want to look at it this way, like you know how Eric eventually became like goofier.
I was gonna say that.
Maybe Corey was.
I don't like that thread, though. I don't like that thread. Because then what was the point of Eric? Eric should have been the warning.
Yeah.
Like, Eric should have been the warning. I'm not going to go to that, bro.
Eric coming back as trees and squirrels, or what was it? What was it? Love Squirrels? Mr. Love Squirrels?
Plays with Squirrels? It was Plays with Squirrels.
When Eric came back, but that was one of the only times I really watched Girl Meets World. I was like,
I watched the whole thing. I watched the whole thing.
He said, plays with squirrels. Mr. Plays with Squirrels. He was the mayor.
That was
he did the same thing. He did the same thing. He came back, was all goofy and stuff, but then when, what's her name? Riley had to learn a lesson. Or not Riley, but the friend.
Right. He popped up with the lesson.
Sabrina.
Sabrina Carpenter.
She was all like, you're goofy. I don't know about all that. And he's all like, word. But are you okay with your life? I'm gonna go play with
these words of wisdom.
Didn't even go back to being goofy. I'm just all like, dude, Eric's the best, bro. His character is just—he's the best.
Another thing I didn't like about Girl Meets World was the fact that Sean and Angela didn't work out. I get it. People grow apart. I get it. But I'm just like, bro, you fighting for this? Shorty, we kind of mid. The white lady, I was just like, Angela was still popping. So it's just like, what are we doing? But
Angela had moved on. Remember?
She did.
Angela had moved on. She was all like, oh, word. I tried that back in the day, and we had a whole teenage drama. And I'm gonna go ahead and get it popping with somebody who appreciates that off camera.
Yeah, I know, but I just I feel like Angela and I feel like everybody's relationship in Boy Meets World had some level of toxicity.
I would have rewrote it to where Angela and Sean
had the better relationship.
One of they had like a kid, and that kid would have been the Corey of the situation. And Corey and Topanga's daughter would have been the Sean of the situation. And just kind of juxtaposed it. Now, I know another series that was like a legacy series probably did that. I'm thinking I'm remembering it from that. But, like, that's the way I would have juxtaposed it. I feel like it would have been a way better show. Not that Sabrina Carpenter did not play the crap out of that character, because she was one of the funniest parts of Girl Meets World. Genuine.
She was probably the best part of Girl Meets World. I'm not gonna hold you. Outside of the cameos from Boy Meets World,
she was funny.
Because Corey and Topanga's daughter wasn't really. She was cool, but she wasn't really memorable.
She didn't act like either. Well, okay, I know she was her own character and her own person, but she didn't really give me like, you're supposed to be MC vibes.
That's what I'm saying. She wasn't really. It was just like, okay, she here.
That's why in my lore I would have flip-flopped the roles. And I think
at least with Boy Meets World it was Corey and Sean. Like, and then when Topanga locked in, it was Corey, Sean, and Topanga. Like, that's who we cared about. Corey, Sean, and Topanga. And so it's just like,
now, okay, some of the supporting characters in Girl Meets World though were pretty dope. Like, I forget what the black kid's name was. He was hilarious.
Right.
The little white dude, the little football player dude.
The cowboy?
Cowboy, that's what he was. He was a cowboy guy. Him and Sabrina's, what was her name? Maya.
Oh, like, don't give me the line.
Their characters. I don't remember names, so I suck at remembering names of shows too. But like,
I don't remember their names.
But we've been through 13 episodes of this, guys. Right? You already know I don't remember names. But her character and him had a really funny kind of like interaction every time they hit up because they were so opposite.
Right.
And I think that would have been a dope love interest for her if she was Corey and Topanga's kid. Because he was more straight-laced and she was always like off the wall, yada yada. I'm essentially saying if she would have played pretty much the same character outside of like her backstory, she would have been Corey and Topanga's daughter instead. If she would have played like the same characterization of like a Shaunish type character,
got you,
but would have been the lead,
got you, and then had a best friend be who actually played her daughter. I mean their daughter. Got you. That makes sense. Like
the person who played Riley was her name in the show. Like the person who played Riley would have been a good foil to her obnoxiousness, like on the other side of it, as opposed to her being Corey and Topanga's daughter, because it just would have made for a better drama. It would have made for better comedy. Like obviously,
it would have gave more contrast.
Yeah.
To the story, because it was just kind of straight laced. Corey's goofy, his daughter's goofy.
Yeah.
Here's the Sean of the situation, her friend.
But she's got the heart of gold and she's the good kid. Like,
right.
Nah, it would have been cool to see Riley's character have to struggle with having to. She's already a good kid, having to struggle with things like not being the 100% good kid, and probably dealing with that. Like, just take her character and make her the Sean character, but she's good, but she's going through like the all that stuff with that, and then
that would have also been dope to see that contrast of her being in a 2-parent household acting that way.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
If Maya had the 2-parent household, she ain't got no reason to really be acting that way, but she's just that way. Her relationship with Sean would have made sense.
It also would have made sense if Riley was the one with the single-parent household and she doing all the goofy stuff to pretty much mask what's really going on.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So that would have hey.
Dude, I would have.
If y'all need some writers.
It's not that Maya wouldn't have connected. It's not that she didn't connect with Sean in a genuine way, because I believe like that was probably one of the more charming parts of the show too. For the episodes that I did see, the relationship that they had was like, oh, that's cool, and she ends up, being a part of that family anyway. But that just goes to show you that relationship would have been dope, because she would have been like you would have had the drama between her and Corey, because Corey would have been all like, why do you think Sean's like cooler than me? Like, your Uncle Sean is like,
right.
And then it would have brought that whole dynamic back, and it just, I don't know, it would have made for a better show, and I feel like the longevity of it would have like lasted a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Because it was only
that feels like a better story.
4 seasons
than what we got.
I'm just saying, people were misrolled.
If y'all need writers, that's all. And those indie geeks got you. You know what I mean? We do this. We independent artists. We talk geeky stuff. We love this. We do this. We live this. What are we talking about?
What are we talking about?
One of the funniest. It's funny watching stuff as a kid, not understanding everything, and then going back and watching it as an adult. That's why I almost cried when Sean got Jesus a little bit. Was because I watched it as an adult, and I was just like, "Oh man, I ain't even pay attention to this when I was a kid."
No, I did. I did because I grew up.
I did a little bit, but I didn't like the gravity of it. Didn't hit me till I was grown. I was like, "He really Come on, Disney. Come on.
It hit
Disney.
me. It hit me different. It hit me different because my mom was like an evangelical person, so like she'd already instilled that in me early, and then I went to a church that was very much so like that made us like aware of things like that and people like that, like the weird. I got like the proper term for them is cults because they're technically not organized religion. So like the stuff on the outside, the outer rim, where they're trying to convince you to kind of like go against like what you should actually be going towards, like maybe not paying attention to what your parents are telling you to, like. So I was privy to that, so I saw it.
Wait, what you talking about, the cult episode?
Yeah, like when
no, I was talking about the Mr. Turner episode getting hurt.
That's what I'm talking about because that was the same episode.
He
got hurt and he joined the cult. Yeah, okay, so Mr. Turner got in the accident, right? And instead of visiting him in the hospital or whatever, Sean went to the gathering with the cult, and then he brings back the guy from the cult, and he tries to like have him be with him, him and the girl. He tries to have them be with him during the time when Mr. Turner was in the hospital.
I gotta watch
because remember, like that was when
I'm thinking they two different.
They were
episodes.
all in the hospitals. Nah, they were they were all in the same hospital, and like Corey's dad had to be all like, "Look, bro, get out of here. You don't belong here." And
Corey's dad won't know.
That was the first time. But nah, not at all, not at all. And then like Mr. Feeney, when Mr. Feeney had to raise up, I was like, "Oh, this is serious." Because Mr. Feeney was like, "I don't like."
Mr. Feeney was about to throw hands.
He was about to throw hands. Mr. Feeney was about to throw hands.
Hey, what you not fit to do? What you not fit to do is take my boy Sean.
Because when he said, he's like, you can't have Sean. I was all like, that's right, Mr. Feeney. That's right. That's right, Mr. Feeney. Shut his mouth.
Yo, that's funny.
Like, I was the antagonist when I was a kid. I was like, I don't care.
Nah, that's funny. But
man,
Boy Meets World is definitely one of my favorite sitcoms of all time. But definitely, probably my favorite white sitcom of all time, just because I grew up with it.
Definitely. Those were the types of white kids that were like, oh yeah, we hang out with them.
Oh, for sure. I'm definitely hanging out with Corey and Sean.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Making fun of Eric and everything.
Oh yeah, man, Eric, why'd you say that, bro? Stupid.
But what I wanted to transition to earlier was I've been watching the Steve Harvey show,
bro,
like within the last few days.
Yes, I just watched that.
That show is underrated. It don't get talked about enough.
For sure.
The Will They Won't They with Steve and Regina. And it made me think, like, for me, the Steve Harvey show is top 5 all time for black sitcoms. Like, it's just, it's hilarious. The comedic timing, the pairings, the Keenan and Kel random cameos, Lori Beth Denver, Romeo and Bullethead,
they were always
Levita Cedric, Steve Cedric, Steve and Regina. Like
all that cast members just randomly showed up on that show all the time. Not just Lori Beth and Keenan and Kel. Like Josh was on an episode. Mm-hmm. That little girl, other little white girl before Amanda was on the show at one point.
Oh, I know you're talking about.
Yeah. Yep.
And he had so many musical guests on the Steve Harvey show. Lady of Rage. Snoop and Diddy did an episode, even though he going through his legal stuff right now. And, it's cool. Sheesh. Anyway, he had a little Bow Wow, Jermaine Dupri.
I'm probably gonna need to censor that name out of the. For the
he had so many different people on it. Ron Isley as one of the high tops. Like
Ron Isley as a high top was hilarious. No, who was the one sketch dude? Who was the one sketch dude who was a high top who was like a crackhead?
Oh,
every time he came, Clyde. He cracked me up, bro.
Every
like,
time.
God, you
He was
dancing the wrong
hilarious.
way. And he was all like,
When the funk is the band, all the people on the jam. Come on, get
hated
with
that
me.
song. Hated that song.
I love that song.
when they showed the like extended version of it and they started riffing off of each other at the end.
Oh, that was the best.
When the funk is the fan, gonna smell like grits and bacon and ham.
Oh, that was so funny. It was so funny.
I was like, oh no, that would be great. That'd be great. That'd be great.
Oh, that was funny. And it made me.
So
I have a question. Who do you think had the better will they, won't they relationship? Steve and Regina or Jamie and Fancy?
Jamie and Fancy.
I'm going Steve and Regina.
I'm only saying Jamie and Fancy because it was resolved a lot earlier, and the will they won't they between Steve and Regina made me mad because it wasn't resolved early to where like they were in a relationship. They didn't get that Joker. It took him having to move.
It wasn't until literally the last 2 seasons.
Spoiler again. But spoiler again.
Spoiler, that's been out since the 90s.
I'm just saying, if you haven't seen any of this stuff and you want to be surprised, sorry, spoiler. Yes, Steve ends up with Regina, but it took this man moving all the way to California, and I don't know if that's just like a personal thing with me. I don't know. I feel like it took too long for them to resolve, and also their relationship to me wasn't as. Actually, no. Now that I think about it, their relationship was a little bit more realistic than Jamie and Fancy's.
That's why I'm going with them. That's why I'm going. Because watching it, I'm like, yo, low key, their relationship, it wasn't one-sided. They both were flirting with each other. They were both back and forth. They knew each other since they were kids. He used to pick on her as a kid because she was overweight. She lost all that weight, became a principal. So now he fiending for her. She flirting with him a little bit. But it was always something that came up that caused them to not be able to make it official. Whether it was somebody from their past, something with the kids, something coming up. It was always something that hindered them from being able to like take that next step. Even though they both were flirting with the idea. And it did take a while. I will say that. It did take a while.
It took too long for me, bro. It took a job offer for her in a different state for him to finally.
Well, they were already together at that point.
Yeah, okay. They were together, but it was just kind of like one of those things where it's all like, you're going to tease us with another will they, won't they at the very end of the series. Like, oh, they're together now, but...
Will they stay together? Or won't they stay together?
He didn't even... Okay, it was an ass... I'm sorry for my language, but it was an ass proposal if that was a proposal. Like, at the end of that series, him just showing up and be all like, I'll never be out of your life forever. Like, nah. Nah.
Hey, it was better than Martin's proposal.
Look. We'll get Martin.
Will you marry me? Are you happy now?
Yeah, nah. That was funny.
Oh,
my favorite.
Martin deserves to get left.
Now that we're on Martin, bro, when Martin and Pam, I loved how they were always bickering and taking shots at each other, but the couple of times where they teamed up, like when they were fighting that badger or whatever at the resort.
There ain't no dang puppy.
Just because they were going to town. He was like, get him here. Get him here.
Just to clown each other once they're done.
And they were done. And she was like, remember when he threw it out the door? You were like, yeah, you did that. You the man. Yeah. Even though you're the short man.
I was like, that was just working together. What happened?
Because
I know it must have been hard fighting one of your cousins. It was like, what?
That joke was hilarious. But remember, they said it in the show. They said in the show, they're all like, look, I can't stand you because of the type of person that you are, but you are my friend.
Right.
Like, I'm going to let some of that slide.
Martin is definitely top 2 black sitcoms all time.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Top 2. For me, my top 5 black sitcoms all time, I go Fresh Prince number 1, Martin number 2, Jamie Foxx number 3, Living Single number 4, and then I go Steve Harvey number 5.
Steve Harvey number 5? If it wasn't for the early years of Steve Harvey, I'm sorry, I'm so far away from the mic. If it wasn't for the early years of Steve Harvey, I was all the way back there. I don't know what I was doing. If it wasn't for the early years when all the kids were like his new students, and before he started being like interim vice principal or whatever, if it wasn't for those few years before, I wouldn't have him in my top 5. But that would be slot 5. Steve Harvey show, because the first few seasons were like the funniest seasons. Bullet Head was hilarious every time.
Facts.
Fourth for me would probably be Living Single. So same thing. Okay. Because it's just there. That's cultural impact, and a lot of the reasons why I know today, because I think through my teens, like watching reruns of that show or whatever, I started to realize, hey, there are a lot of different, very attractive black beautiful queens. Variety is what I say, and it was important to me, because it's funny, but it was important to me to like know that lesson, because that was the era where I started like my teenage angst, and I wasn't listening to nothing but punk and like hardcore, and I was immersed in the culture, and like I was getting a good mix of both, if that makes any sense. Like, so I was learning like diversity at that point in time, and then I realized, there's colored emo kids. Let's go. That's probably not a clip that we want.
Colored emo kids is crazy.
Colored emo kids. Let's go. And I am one of them.
Colored emo kids is crazy.
We're out there. We're out there more so now than before. But so number 4 would be Living Single. 5 is Steve Harvey. Number 3 would probably be Martin for me, because I think it was a little bit too adult for me at the time.
Okay. 3, that's wild. Okay.
Yeah, so I didn't watch too much of it until I was like a little bit more grown.
Oh, okay.
And then I was like, whoa, what was I missing? I was missing freaking
everything.
Silence. Like, here's my student demo. And he's all like, hey man, I need you to pay my phone bill. Where that check at? Oh my god, that show is hilarious, bro. So that's the only reason why it's number 3, because I started watching it later in life, right? Okay. Number 2 would be Family Matters, because after I grew out of Full House, After I grew out of Full House, I started predominantly watching Family Matters, because I still, everybody watched Full House. Full House was the thing to watch back in the 90s, right? But at a certain point, I think, which is weird to say, but I think at a certain point, around 8 or 9, is when I was like, Steve Urkel's just funnier to me. I don't know. I think it was seeing like a wholesome, like, whole family that was black on air, where it was like, oh, okay, this is I like this is my speed. So that's why it's number 2.
Aunt Rachel and
Rachel. I was
Aunt Rachel and Myra, and I ain't really like her in Family Matters. I loved her in the Cosby Show, but I ain't really like her in Family Matters like that.
You didn't like her in Family? Okay.
She was cute, but she was annoying because she was too aggressive.
She was definitely annoying. Definitely too aggressive. But my thing was Steve.
And Laura.
Steve. I go, Steve. Myra. Versus Laura. Myra. Laura. A person who's actually into you, even though it might be a little too much, as opposed to the person you gotta back it. Like,
facts.
What are you doing with your life? You're worth more than this, my guy.
And Myra,
that's why at the end, no, she was not. Myra was fine. The only thing that was weird about that scenario is that I'm sure you figured it out later on in life too, that she was a lot older in that role than we had realized. Because she was on the Cosby Show and she was acting the same age she was in the Cosby Show as in Family Matters. By the time she hit Family Matters, she was almost 30. That's almost like, oh.
Hey, my wife ordered me here, so hey, I'm here with it.
Look, hey, yo. I just realized what you said. That's insane work. That is insane work. Hey, yo. Shout out wifey. Tell her I said what's up. Viewers, JusRzd's wife is a fan of my music, and I love that. That's really cool.
Big fan,
and that's cool. I didn't realize it. I had no idea that grown women like my music. I'm just playing. So,
all right, who you got number one?
Number one. It's cool. I'm sure if I had a significant other, she would be into JusRzd more than me because that's just the way it goes. People love soul music, bro. What the heck?
The craziest part is never mind. I'll get to that another day.
We'll talk about it later. Because that's funny. That's hilarious. Okay, so that was my number 2 was Family Matters, right? And also it was just a zany show. Like you said, by the end of there, it was ridiculous. Absolutely insane. Still don't think Laura and Steve should have got together, but it was very completionist, and I appreciate that. Good for them. Right? Number 1 black sitcom of all time for me. I don't care what anybody else says. For me, I'm just kidding. It's not the Parkers. It is not Parkers. Parkers annoys the crap out of me. I cannot stand the Parkers.
I was about to log off.
Bye. It wasn't Parkers. It was the Jamie Foxx show. Oh my gosh, that show means the world to me. That show, and honorable mention is Wayans Brothers. I'm just throwing that out there.
Honorable mention for me is the Cosby Show. It just kind of fell off to me towards the later seasons, but
absolutely,
the first like 6 seasons, solid.
But the original like family, the cast and the kids, yeah, absolutely.
Once Denise came back with the husband and the daughter, it was just like it was still funny, but then it just kind of started to
Raven-Symoné was funny for all of maybe. Raven-Symoné was maybe funny for all of like 1.5 seasons. She didn't. Yeah. She had the charm, but I don't think until like That's So Raven, we didn't really get like all of what she was, offering.
Yeah,
that's also an honorable mention for me too, because technically
she was
might not be a black sitcom, but she was a black lead. So
true, but she was funny. She was funnier on Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
Absolutely,
than she was on the Cosby Show.
I agree with that.
And by the time Cousin Pam came on the Cosby Show, it was just too much going on in the house for me. It was just like a lot. I was just like, all right, yeah.
I forgot about Hanging with Mr. Cooper. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's an honorable mention for me too. But Jamie Foxx
also, A Different World is an honorable mention too. But yeah,
for you, I didn't like A Different World.
I didn't either as a child. I didn't like A Different World as a child. Then I rewatched it as a grown adult, and I was like, yo, this is fire.
No, I'll try and rewatch. I've been trying to rewatch certain sitcoms to see if I get it now as an adult. Mm-hmm. But like, that was too. I think that's why we're juxtaposed. Like why I'm so like and you're like yeah. your favorites. But the reason that Jamie Foxx showed means so much to me because obviously music.
For sure.
The comedic timing of that cast was ridiculous. Every single person in that cast, even if you had like a bit role, everybody was on it. Everybody was on it. And it was just like, nobody didn't make me laugh.
I will give that to you. Aunt Helen,
love
hilarious.
That.
Uncle Junior,
oh my gosh,
hilarious. He was hilarious in Martin. He was hilarious in
Martin. Yeah. He was just like,
when I read that girl's letter.
I was like, if you don't give that letter to that man, like, I cried.
Oh, Uncle Junior was hilarious.
He said, man, she really love you.
I cried when I read that girl's letter.
Bro. And that's one of the reasons why I was all like, okay, Jamie and Fancy over. You know, I didn't, even though it wasn't as realistic. They're definitely one of the best. It wasn't as realistic, but it was more realistic than most of the sitcoms that were out. Because it did still take him a while. Right. It took him a couple of years before he was able to, because they met, they didn't know each other. It was more of like a, we're grown and we met, and like, I'm going to pursue you type thing, but I'm going to be not toxic about it. I'm not going to be like all up on you in every scenario. You can still do your thing, but when you roll up, not every scenario. Because he did try it. He did try it.
Oh, he did. The girl, I'm about to put a dent in his desk. His
knees were about to hit the desk really hard.
Adults, you know what I meant. Oh, but
oh God. Oh God. But anyway, so like, and that's where I got a lot of my humor from too. So like, and some people can tell, some people can't. There was a couple of shows in the history of Blackdom that really kind of gave me my sense of humor, and Jamie Foxx show was that show for me, but also My Brother and Me. Oh God.
Wow!
Do you remember My Brother and Me?
That was where Steve started, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think
they only had like a season
on that show. It was like a season. Yeah, no, it was just one season.
Yeah.
Barely two. I think they did maybe like a couple episodes on the second season.
What were Regina in there too?
Almost every black person at that time that was like a celebrity, I think, got started on that show at one point as bit roles. I think.
Got you.
I might be thinking about another show, but yeah, that's where I got a lot of my humor from. That's till this day. That's why I say people that are uglier than ugly are ooglat. And and nobody ever gets that because you never saw My Brother and Me. That's all. That's why till this day I like spicy chili cheese dogs.
Whoa.
That was an episode. Taking
that just
it back.
Like an upset stomach to me.
I mean, if you don't have IBS, it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, Jamie Foxx show is that show. It always makes me laugh every single time. It's one of those shows.
Sure. Hilarious.
It's like Boy Meets World to me, where if I turn it on, I know I'm going to enjoy whatever is playing in the background. When I happen to look at the screen, I know I'm gonna laugh. I know I'm gonna like be all like, oh, that's sweet or something. Like, and then the stuff that you pick up on, because we watched that show when we were kids, right? The stuff we picked up on, because this was like late 90s, early 2000s, like, I was just like, oh my gosh. The stuff you pick up on as an adult, I was like, oh
crazy.
My God.
Crazy.
And yo, I know she's older now, but Fancy was fun.
I had a crush on Fancy. You know who else was low key? Who else was low key like? I can't even talk. Who else was low key nice looking? Braxton wife in real life, who actually played the GPS girl.
Oh yeah. It made me believe in white women again.
I never paid attention to her when I was a kid, but as I got older, I was just like, you know what? She all right. I sounded super old saying that, but
made me believe in white women again. I'm just kidding.
When did you? I'm surprised you don't have Fresh Prince at all on your list.
After Topanga, I didn't believe in white women anymore. I'm just kidding.
I was surprised you didn't have Fresh Prince up there.
Fresh Prince. I would replace the only show I would replace for Fresh Prince would be Family Matters, because in all actuality, that's another one of the shows that I can just put on, and it's like it's just there, and it'll make you laugh every single time. Their performances, and I think that's a big attribution to how they portrayed their roles. Like, they were just so good in all those roles from every show that we listed. They just kind of embodied that, and that's the reason why they're classic. That's the reason why they're kind of evergreen as far as like sitcoms are concerned, and people like to go for inspiration. Like, even that newer version of Fresh Prince, the dramatic one.
Oh yeah, Bel-Air. That's actually really good.
Yeah, they had a heck of a blueprint because of that show. It's like, even though it was a comedy show, it had a lot of like, you could pose a lot of questions and have a lot of layers to like a drama series. It just made sense. A lot of
character growth too.
Yeah. Whereas then you wouldn't be able to really do a dramatic version of the Jamie Foxx show without it being like terribly sad.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Just kind of bummy.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody could work that out, but
well, no, I feel like you could. I feel like you could probably do more of a dramatic take of the Jamie Foxx show than you could like Martin. I think Martin would be too much to try to do a drama about.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's
because like Jamie Foxx, you could play with different angles with him leaving Terrell, Texas, coming to his aunt and uncle's hotel, working there, getting familiar with the crew, then him trying to hustle music. You could tap into that aspect, and that could be like
you realize that was the only plot point that they didn't technically steal from Fresh Prince? Was him and the music stuff. Like, all the other stuff, like, everybody used that show as a blueprint. In fact, there was a show that Kevin Hart had that was literally the inverted version of Fresh Prince, where he was already rich and moves in with like his poor side of his family, and has to live as like a working class person.
I vaguely remember that pilot.
Yeah,
I vaguely remember that.
That was crazy. I don't remember what the heck that show was called, but now I'm gonna have to look it up. But
me either. But I know exactly what you're talking about.
Apparently, it was terrible.
I mean, clearly,
we got Soul Plane and Kevin Hart as we know him.
Soul Plane it's so bad it's good at this point. Like, it's iconically terrible in a good way.
It's like black people's like Plane. You remember that movie Plane? It's like Airplane, black people's Airplane, yeah. Or
I mean, that was literally the pitch for it. Is the black airplane.
So it's just kind of like, whatever. It did what it was supposed to do. But that would be mine. In fact, actually, no. Would I take Family Matters out of there? I would probably take Martin out, just because of what I said. Because I started watching Martin a lot later.
Okay.
In Fresh Prince. So Fresh Prince would replace Martin for me. And
my whole juxtaposition with Martin and Fresh Prince is Fresh Prince was the overall better show, but Martin, hands down, nobody made you laugh the way Martin made you laugh. Like, when it came to the jokes, he still
managed to do it.
Right.
He still managed to do it with a show that wasn't like as glossy as Fresh Prince became.
Right. Or family friendly as Fresh Prince.
Or like, family friendly, and that's the thing. It's like, I was watching Fresh Prince before Martin, and I kept watching Fresh Prince. It's like, Martin, I wasn't even allowed to watch it until I was a little older. So it's like, okay. But that was great, and that was a great discussion that we're probably going to split into 2 parts, is what it's looking like, because we...
The 90s?
Look at the... I'm good. We're going to split this one into 2 parts, so you'll get the first part of this next week, and maybe we'll release the second part throughout next week, or probably the week prior. But thank you guys for joining us. JusRzd, can you take us out?
And so that has been our major discussion about the 90s and our childhood. If you don't know, we were raised in the 90s, guys. We were 80s babies
We didn't even get to talk about all the cartoons from the 90s. Next time we'll do that.
Sure. I mean, but we spent enough time talking about Dragon Ball Z. That's a whole...
No, that's it'll have an honorable mention there, but all the rest of the cartoons, we didn't talk about Sailor Moon. We didn't talk about freaking the Ninja Turtles. We didn't... I'm talking about the cool Ninja Turtles from 2003. Them niggas was wild. Anyway.
I gotta remember which one that was. I've seen so many iterations of the Ninja Turtles, they all start to run together at a certain point. Because I'd be like, wait.
You remember that theme song?
Oh, that one. Okay. Yeah. I remember that one.
Turtles counted off 1, 2, 3, 4 turtles.
Low key.
It sounded like an Uncle Luke song. Turtles.
Low key, the early 2000s. We got to do another episode about the early 2000s because they was hitting on all cylinders when it came to cartoons. But this has been our walk down memory lane. Like you said, we're gonna separate this into part 1 and part 2. Part 1 will probably just be the Dragon Ball Z discussion because we went in, we did. Part 2 will definitely be the 90s and the sitcom era. But yeah, man, appreciate y'all tapping in. If you have stayed on this particular episode, this particular long, appreciate you. Share it with your peoples. You know what I mean? If you enjoyed the discourse, if you enjoyed the dialogue, comment below. You know what I mean? Let us know what your favorite sitcoms in the 90s were, if you were around in the 90s. If you weren't, let us know what your favorite sitcoms are, period. Top 5. Drop them in the comments. And your favorite thing about Dragon Ball Z, drop it in the comments. And don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so that way you can be notified anytime we drop a new video on the channel, which is every Monday. So stay tapped in, stay tuned in, stay locked in, and never forget, we are those indie geeks. And we out.